What is a clear sign that someone is in a toxic relationship? My patient of 12 years disappeared for 4 years and came back a hollow version of herself. My patient was one of the most charming women I had ever met. She was always smiling and was a perfect picture of health, weighing an average weight and eating the best heart-healthy foods a doctor could ask for. Every yearly appointment would go smoothly, until our last one. She started showing signs of high blood pressure. Although she was still smiling while she told me that she was getting married in 2 months, her eyes looked tired. I tried to check up on what changed in her lifestyle, but she said everything was fine. She scheduled an appointment for the next year, but she didn't show up. She didn't even reschedule an appointment. I was concerned, but I thought she might have transferred her records to some other doctor, so I let it be. That was until she came back 4 years later, desperate for some help with her mental health. Her eye bags were the size of saucers and were darker than a raccoon's. She looked like she had come back from the Vietnam War and saw some traumatizing things. Her hair was even matted down to the scalp. Her skin had several deep stretch marks, and she smelt oddly sour. Although I wasn't supposed to show my shock, my jaw literally dropped at the sight of her. She looked like she had gained more than 100 pounds, so I put her on the scale, and it split in half. In the kindest way possible, I asked her what changed in her life. She told me she was the mom of a 2-year-old and he refused to go to bed on time. He would spend most of the night running around their apartment and screaming at the top of his lungs, so she had to spend most of the night taking care of him. When I asked if she had anyone to help take care of him, she looked down, ashamed. She said she has a husband, but he refused to have anything to do with their son because he claimed she baby-trapped him. Instead of helping her during the night, he would go to the club at 3 in the morning and be with God knows who. It drove her crazy every single night when she would hear her son begging for his dad and knowing he was probably effing some random girl at the club. The only thing that comforted her at night was eating anything in sight. It made her calm down slightly, but the guilt was even worse. Since she was the sole provider of their family as well, she'd be going to sleep at 4 in the morning and waking up at 7 in the morning to go to work. It drove her insane, so she decided to come back here. When I asked her why she didn't come earlier, she said it was because he forbade her to go to a male doctor, and every single other doctor she showed him was someone he'd accuse her of cheating on him with. I first recommended she get as far away from him as possible and provided some numbers for some shelters and lawyers. Then I told her that I would make sure she felt better again, as my job was to make sure she lived long enough to make her life beautiful, and nighttime snacking was the easiest ticket to an early death. Nighttime snacking seems so simple, but it can induce depression, heart problems, high blood pressure, and the possibility of cancers and gallbladder disease. Your body wants to naturally consume as many calories before bed. She begged me to help her feel better in her life, so I told her the truth. That diet needs to go. Every issue with her skin, mobility, smell and hair had everything to do with the deep fatigue and depression a terrible diet can give you. I recommended that we start taking preventive measures and reintroduce new eating habits. I asked her if her kid was willing to eat a little better as well, and she said that he once threw a broccoli at her head, so she was afraid that she would have her head on a steak if she made him eat healthy. I laughed and told her to disguise it in his food so that he wouldn't even notice he's eating it. I also recommended black coffee before bed and heavily suggested water as well to kill her appetite because something told me she wasn't drinking any water. I told her that if the coffee didn't work I'd look for something else. Somehow, my patient came back 3 weeks later 15 pounds heavier. She said she couldn't get past the bitter taste of black coffee and she was constantly craving 40-piece chicken nuggets, so she gave up and went back to her old habits. Luckily for her, during that month period I had found night food cookies, which were completely healthy to eat at night. I was testing its effectiveness because they're low in calories and are meant to be eaten past midnight, unlike other junk foods. I ate them every night and didn't see any changes in my weight or feel unhealthy, and I was getting better sleep whenever I ate them. So, I had just the thing for my patient, and recommended the night food cookies with complete confidence. She was happy that there was an alternative to her unhealthy habit because she didn't think she would ever quit. 3 months later, she came back for her appointment and there were so many noticeable differences in her. She said that the cookies helped regulate her sleep, so she always woke up ready for the day. She told me that little by little, she was feeling better every day instead of waking up depressed. So, she was motivated to work out and start taking care of herself. She went to the gym 3 times a week, and since she wasn't binge eating so much because of the night food cookies she started eating in a caloric deficit. She also cut her matted hair off, and she said she felt so much relief when she took that load off of her head. And she was eating more healthier foods than just the night food cookies, so her acne was clearing up. Not to mention, she didn't smell bad, which meant she finally got the energy to shower regularly. She told me that she finally found the confidence to kick her husband out because she owned the apartment and even her toddler was starting to sleep through the night. It was nice seeing her be put together, though. The best part came when she stepped onto the scale and it didn't break, but she had also dropped 20 pounds. She was proud that she was finally losing the weight and was happy she didn't have to get rid of her nighttime snacking. I could instantly see she was on the path of rebuilding herself. So from then on, I always recommend night food cookies to people who struggle with nighttime binge eating. It's patients like these that remind me how much I love my job, even if their choice in men are concerning.
Subscribe please to